What's going on, guys, and welcome back to another episode of Career Mode. This is episode number 165, and we start today's episode off with our scout compiling his report on Florian Thauvin. Now, of course, in the last episode I discussed the possibility of signing this guy. The Marseille right midfielder does have his contract up at the end of the year, so we put in a straight bid of £10.5 million for the 26-year-old, and we'll wait and see what they say. And also, Roma came back to us regarding Marco Verratti and just said, forget about it, we're not going to pay what you're after, so don't bother. And I said, okay, fair enough, because Verratti, as you've seen, this year it's going to be Coulon and Savanier in the holding midfield position. Cabella is going to play in the attacking midfield role, previously occupied by Lacazette, who's now going to play in the striker role, previously occupied by Higuain, who's now going to play in the bench role. He's going to be on the bench. So, yeah, with Coulon and Savanier in the holding midfield position, if I wanted to, Verratti could play there easy as you like. He can play CM, CDM, very good range of passing, so he'd be perfectly fine there. But I don't mind him being on the bench. I'd like to play in midweek games when one of those two players are tired. So, yeah, there's no point in selling the guy. We don't need to sell him. We don't need the money. So there's no point in accepting a low bid just because, we want to, really. But regardless, we take on Montpellier for the first game of today's episode here in the first game of Ligue 1 as we try and defend our title this season. Ashton Guts almost got his first goal for the club there. His strike going just over the bar from about 25 to 30 yards out. Lauriston had to be called into action in the 21st minute there to make a good save and keep it at 0-0. So good stop by our goalkeeper, and it was still goalless. But from the corner, as you can see here, Munier stands over it for Montpellier, and the number 7 crosses the ball in towards Sanson, who wins the header, and it cannons off the bar, and we manage to get the ball away. So Montpellier making a pretty bright start, but just a few minutes later here as Montpellier come forward again, Munier does have the ball in the back of the net for them, but it is disallowed for offside, and as you'll see, the linesman's flag goes up, and correctly so. So Lloris came out and Munier beat him to the ball, but as you can see, we step up with Niang just on time, and the linesman does call it right. So still goalless in this game despite Montpellier having the ball in the back of our net. However, in the 38th minute we'd have the ball in the back of their net, and this time it would not be called for offside. Instead, the linesman was probably applauding what was a fantastic strike by Hazard instead, and it is a really nice goal by our Belgian as well. The former Chelsea man turns it in and makes it 1-0. Kurzawa's strike was blocked, but as it fell, it was basically like the right angle and the right height for Hazard to go for a bit of a, it's not really a bicycle kick, but it's sort of like a side swivel kick in the air. I don't know really how to explain that better, to be honest, but it's a wonderful goal by Hazard. Look at the way he bends his leg there. Surprised it didn't break, but still lovely strike by Hazard, and he does make it 1-0. So the first goal of the new season in Ligue 1, and I wouldn't call it the most memorable goal we'll ever score, but it's certainly a lovely goal regardless, and we do make it 1-0. So 1-0 to Paris Saint-Germain, and 7 minutes after the restart, a great chance to make it 2-0 here. Ashton Guts finds Niang down the right hand side, takes it round his man with the roulette, crosses the ball in, Lacazette wins the header and does indeed make it 2-0. So those two worked really well together as a strike partnership in West Bromwich Albion at the Hawthorns. Now Niang plays on the right wing, Lacazette is going to be our lone striker, and I'm sure they'll work just as good, and that was a clear example. Lovely cross by Niang, Lacazette wins the header and does make it PSG 2, Montpellier 0. So we extend the lead just 7 minutes after the restart, and to be honest, in the first half Montpellier looked very, very good indeed, but that was not the start they needed in the second half. They wanted a fast, bright start, possibly get themselves an early equaliser on the cards, but instead they concede it is 2-0. However, they would have a good chance there directly from kickoff as they come forward, but the shot goes over the bar and behind from Sanson, and it was still 2-0. And in the 71st minute here again we give the ball away stupidly, and Sanson looking pretty bright for Montpellier, I have to say, eventually as part of this build up here as they get themselves forward into the box after a nice turn. The shot is taken and it goes just over and behind for a goal kick. So Montpellier had a lot of chances, and in the 76th minute another one here, a free kick into the box towards Ayew. He flicks on the header and it hits the bar, and the follow-up header is saved by Lloris. So a lot of chances for Montpellier and a disallowed goal as well. But really, in football, as I mentioned many times before, it doesn't matter how many shots you have, you've got to score the goals, and Montpellier just weren't capable of doing that, clearly. And 5 minutes before the end, Lacazette scores his second goal of the game after rounding the goalkeeper once getting played through one-on-one, fake shotting round him and dinking the ball into the open goal. So Lacazette makes it PSG 3, Montpellier 0, and Lacazette, what a great sign it's showing for this guy. Going to be playing striker ahead of Higuain this season for the most part, and he looks fantastic on his own, leading the line. insane. So PSG 3, Montpellier 0, and honestly a deserved win, but worth remembering that Montpellier did have a lot of chances, but as I mentioned many times before, you need to put the ball in the back of the net to win football games, believe it or not, and they just weren't capable of doing that. So final score 3-0, and again, I feel like we deserve to win, but it is worth mentioning that Montpellier could have got themselves a point in that game had they just been a lot more clinical. What can I say? Still following that, another bid for Laporta. Our centre back is now wanted by Arsenal, so this guy wanted by Napoli, Liverpool, and now Arsenal, but again, we're not selling the guy. It's just not going to happen. I think he's a great player, and unless we get an astronomical fee, there's no point in letting go of the centre back, who is a big part of our plans. And also Marseille said they give us they'd accept £11.5 million for Florian Thauvin. So we put in a straight bid of £11.25 million, and we also offered them one of our random left midfielders. I mentioned this guy in the last episode, 63 overall, 20 years old. Maybe in 5 or 6 years' time it'll look good, but I don't think we'll be here in 5 or 6 years' time. So £11.35 million actually, plus Laborde, and we'll wait and see what Marseille say. And as you can see, they did accept it. Also, Rabiot got a transfer offer as well, so Marseille accept the deal of £11.35 million plus that random Deadwood left midfield player. I know he's only 20 years old, but he probably is going to be Deadwood regardless for his whole career at the club. And also we offer him a contract, and Hamburg came in for Rabiot, and they said they give us £8 million for the guy. 24 years old, 77 overall, £4.8 million valuation. That's not a bad deal. I know he's probably got pretty decent potential, but it's not a bad deal. He's not showing any of those showing great potential or an exciting prospect or has potential to be special. So I don't know. I don't mind. We counter offer £11 million. We got good centre midfielders here anyway, and players such as Bovo and Coulomb and Savanier, plus Verratti and Pastore, don't forget. So we'll have to wait and see what Hamburg say with £11 million counter offer on the table. Also a big came through Cabella there. Roma want him, but again, just like Verratti, they're not going to pay what we want for the guy. So there's no need to sell him, and that's one of the things I am liking with this PSG team. We don't have to sell these players if we don't want to, because we already have the finances to pay their wages and not really need to worry about whether they're going to be good in the future or not, because they already are good. They're already first team players. Verratti and Cabella, both first team players. Verratti's on the bench, but still a first team player. There's no need to sell them. They're totally fine. We don't have to sell them because for keeping the squad happy, or because we can't afford their wages. They're totally fine here. So there you go. And speak of the devil, Cabella does make it 1-0 in the second of 2 games in today's episode, taking on SM. I think it's Someone told me how to pronounce that in the comments. Cabella does make it 1-0 to Paris Saint-Germain there, just 10 minutes in, and he's not going to Roma. He plays a lovely 1-2 with Lacazette there, and the guy is a really awesome playmaker. He was good for us last season when we came in, playing in the holding midfield position. Now he's going to play in the attacking midfield position, and I think he'll be even better for us. Now he's playing further up the pitch. He'll be more directly involved with the attacking build-up. So 1-0 to Paris Saint-Germain. Lacazette gets the goal, and it's the perfect start for us. And directly from kickoff, they give the ball away. Lacazette runs clear, and a great chance to make it 2-0 here as he beats the last man with the fake shot, goes through and shoots, but it's a great save by the goalkeeper and turn behind for a corner. So still 1-0 to Paris Saint-Germain, but looking very bright early on in this game. And in the 17th minute we're through again. Ashton Gutz down his right hand side, takes on his man, crosses the ball in, picks out Lacazette, and Lacazette picks out the bottom corner. So 2-0 to Paris Saint-Germain, and already just looking really, really comfortable in this game. The home side just did not get going at all, and to be honest, I don't really know too much about them, but coming into the game, I did feel very confident, and to be 2-0 up 18 minutes in, it was clear as to why I was feeling very confident. It was just too easy to just slice through their defence, really, just minute by minute, and keep on attacking and looking like we'd score. And in the 31st minute, a great chance to make it 3-0. Thiago Silva ball rolls around his man, finds Ashton Gutz down the right hand side, and right back takes it around his man with the fake shot, crosses the ball in, picks out Lacazette, and again he finds the back of the net. So the second time we cross the ball in, Lacazette wins the header, and this guy is looking like an absolute animal already. Obviously, when we had him for West Bromwich Albion, he played striker. We knew just how good he was alongside Niang up top as a striker partnership. How well he'd do on his own, I wasn't really sure. But in this game, the evidence was clear. He's fantastic. He's got everything. Pace, power, strength, agility, aerial ability, finishing on the ground. He's absolutely perfect. So 3-0 to Paris Saint-Germain, and the game is already done in the first half. And in the second half, 11 minutes after the restart, it could have been 3-1, but Lloris made a very good save. So the home side trying to get themselves back in the game, but a good stop by our goalkeeper there, and it is still 3-0 to us. And from that, we pass our way out from the back here. Lovely build-up. Lacazette takes it around his man, gets Ronaldo chops around him, gets taken down, and the referee gives a red card as well after a second bookable offence for this player. So as you can see in the screen right now, in the bottom left, he's walking for his second booking. On the screen right now, you can see what he got his first booking for. I don't think either of them are really debatable, to be honest. Maybe the first one wasn't a booking, the second one certainly was, but all in all, it wasn't going very well for the home side regardless. It wasn't going to matter, but they were down to 10 men, and you know, it was a score of 3-0. The game was comfortably ours regardless. Lacazette was too good, and the whole team was playing very, very good indeed. Not a single player was having an off day. In the 73rd minute here, Niang goes down his right hand side and almost scores a very nice goal. His shot from range going just wide the post and behind for a goal kick, but a real sign of confidence that we're shooting from that far out, looking so confident and so on top of things. Javier Pastore then finds Remy Cabella, who finds Lacazette, and that shot should have been 4-0, should have been his hat-trick, but I completely messed up the finish and it was still 3-0. But with a minute on the clock before 90 minutes were up, Pastore finds Remy Cabella, lovely back heel to Lacazette. Lacazette then plays it back into Cabella, and Remy Cabella does make it 4-0. So those two as a partnership are going to look very, very good this year. Cabella looks fantastic, Lacazette looks fantastic, and I think we're going to score so many goals this year. A lovely little pass inside from Lacazette, great finish by Cabella, and this team full of so much attacking quality. I feel like we can score so many goals in every single game, and no matter what happens, it should be a really exciting season with a lot of goals being scored by Paris Saint-Germain. So as always guys, a big thank you for watching the video. Really hope you have enjoyed it. If you have enjoyed today's episode of Career Mode, then please do leave a like, as it is much appreciated and it really does help my channel out, and I'll see you for the next episode of Career Mode very soon.